This is MoneyTalk Radio, and I'm Ellis Martin. Uber is trading at or near $76 a share currently. Lyft is in at $17 per share. These two ride apps are the supposed premier methods of getting from point A to point B when you can't, don't, or won't take your own car. They're supposed to compete with what many of us grew up with, a taxi. In many cases, they don't. The fees are almost equal. That means no savings by using a ride app often. And in many remote or semi-remote areas of the world, small towns, etc., you just can't get any kind of ride when you need one. Where I live in the early morning or evening, good luck. I can't count on these apps to get me to the airport when I need a ride. If I want to make my flight on time, guaranteed, I have to drive my car to the airport and leave it at a car park for a week at great expense. All because these ride apps typically won't come and get me, because either there are no rides available, no cars, or the drivers just won't get me. And if they will, they are anywhere from half an hour to an hour away and I have to wait. And they often cancel. And that's just in this country. What if there was an economic alternative that offered concierge ride service and much more, at prices much less expensive than what you or me has to pay now with Uber or Lyft? Well, there is. There will be. It's coming. WarpSpeedTaxi. And today, WarpSpeedTaxi is trading at near 50 cents per share. Is that a stock that you might want to own? It could be. It might be. Perhaps it should be. But that's not my call. It's yours. As someone who trades periodically, or as someone who holds a stock, I like early opportunities. I'm not one who comes in and buys a stock when it's at its peak. I like multiples of 5, 10, 20, or 50 if possible. There are no guarantees, none at all in the public markets. But those early investors, the first in with Uber and Lyft, those that stayed, are currently perhaps not complaining right now. A 50-cent stock compared to Uber's $76 or Lyft's $17 a share stock? I see potential upside for WarpSpeedTaxi. Let's talk about now user experience with Uber. In some instances, depending on the city and airport you're at, you can have a great experience, a fast response time, a driver who is clean and doesn't talk your head off. But you just don't know. You can't count on it. It's a crapshoot almost every time. I'll tell you a personal story, one that happened literally just a week ago when I decided to take Uber this time to and from the airport at one of the world's busiest airports, LAX. I was returning home from a business trip to Toronto where I'd been away over a week, and I returned with heavy luggage, a heavy carry-on, and a duffel bag full of stuff. Again, I decided to use Uber to and from. At LAX, there are two forms of ride app assistance with Uber. With one, you drag your heavy luggage onto a packed shuttle bus, and I mean packed with barely any room to stand. You have to lift your luggage up, and there's no ramp or lift or anything to help you. And then the bus stops at every terminal to pick up more people until it's really, really full. And you are driven to a large off-site area where you wait for an Uber or Lyft to pick you up and take you home. And you don't know who or what you're going to get for a car or driver. It's a total crapshoot. The other choice number 2, is Uber Black, which will come and get you at the terminal at LAX, and you're going to pay through the nose no matter where you live. But these drivers who show up in either a big SUV or sedan will get out of the car and help you load your heavy luggage into the vehicle. Again, you're going to pay for Uber Black, and heavily, but they will come and get you eventually, or not. Again, last week I arrived at LAX at about 8:30 p.m. from Toronto. I retrieved my luggage quicker than usual, was out the door on my Uber app, opting for Uber Black and the curbside pickup. I immediately got a response. Vladimir was to come and get me, and he was 4 minutes away. It was going to cost me a fortune, but what choice did I have with the heavy luggage and bags? Well, Vladimir calls me right away and says, "Sorry, I have a flat tire. Please cancel the ride." Flat tire on a Chevy Suburban? Okay, I'll cancel. Well, I tried to cancel the ride on the app, and it wouldn't let me. I had to find the cancel button. It wasn't easy, but I did. I canceled, but it showed the ride still operable, and Vladimir was perpetually now 10 minutes away. I get a message from him. "Where are you? I'll pick you up." What? Where are you? I'll pick you up? I thought we canceled this ride. Well, I turned my phone on and off about 5 times, and Vladimir was still coming, and I didn't want him to come anymore. Rebooting the app did not work. I kept getting his location and arrival time. I'm panicking. Half an hour had gone by, and I was getting angry. Real angry. I had a great flight, a great trip, and now this? Anger upon my return to Los Angeles? No ride home and app hell? Well, I called Vladimir, as you can call the driver on the app. Vlad answers. He asked me where I am and he's going to come and get me. He had fixed his tire and he'll get me. I told him to cancel on his end so I can get another driver, as I didn't want him and had walked to another part of the airport to try and get a taxi, which is really impossible because, again, you need to get on a shuttle bus to do so with your heavy luggage. Vlad told me that if he canceled, he'd lost points and stars and have a harder time getting passengers in the future. I told him to cancel me and let me get another ride. He wouldn't. I yelled and cursed at him and hung up. I never do that. I don't yell and curse at people. Who normally does that? I'm not exactly a young guy, okay? There are blood pressure issues. You can stroke yourself out or give yourself a heart attack. I yelled. I was angry. I was upset. The app wouldn't reboot or cancel. I called Vlad yet again and told him to cancel me so I can get another ride. I'll come and get you. Where are you? Vlad says. Why would I ride with the guy I had just screamed at, who held me hostage? He finally relented and freed the app, canceling it on his end, and I hailed another driver through the app. Driver number 2, also in a Chevy Suburban, called me and asked me to go up to a level to another pickup point where there wasn't as much traffic. Okay, I'll accommodate you. So I went upstairs and he came for me in about 10 minutes. I will tell you that now, over an hour had passed before I got a ride. A premier ride supposedly that I'd be paying over $100 for, and I could have had just a friend pick me up anyway. But I don't like to bother people at night. Driver number 2 arrives, helps me with my luggage, and I get into what was clearly an SUV where the driver had smoked heavily. It reeked. I'm still upset, however, from the previous experience with Vladimir, and I can't wait to get home. Driver drops me off. It's about 10 p.m., 90 minutes from my original Uber hail. I'm still pissed and irritated and can't wait to spend an hour with Uber customer service to rant. And I lose my balance on the sidewalk and I fall on my head lying there until a neighbor finds me. I fell on my forehead. I didn't pass out, but the lumps on my head, I made a decision then and there to take my car to the airport from now on and leave it there and pay whatever the parking is and forego these ride apps. During the particular week I'd been in Toronto, I'd been chatting with representatives of WarpSpeedTaxi, learning about it, mulling it over whether or not we'd work together. As you know, companies hire me, pay me to represent them to potential investors like you, like I'm doing now. That makes me biased if I talk about them on this program. I'm biased. Do your own research. Make your own decisions before buying any stock. So, what is WarpSpeedTaxi? It's not just a rideshare app with good customer service at prices that are well below Uber or Lyft. It's an all-in-one. WarpSpeed will get your groceries for you in short order, which means you don't have to wait all day. They're saying within an hour. If you need something picked up or delivered across town, couriered. And in a large city like LA, across town could take a while if you're going to do it yourself. WarpSpeedTaxi will deliver or pick up that item for you. I personally don't have time to get an item that I need now. I can't take half a day to run out and get it. WarpSpeedTaxi will do it. What if I buy an item on Craigslist and want it delivered? WarpSpeedTaxi. What if I want a friend or a relative to come over that has special needs, is not 100% ambulatory, has a wheelchair or crutches, or just old? WarpSpeedTaxi is going to be offering special assistance. And this is just North America. There's an entire planet of communities that are not serviced by any app. So what exactly is WarpSpeedTaxi? WarpSpeedTaxi trades in the U.S. on the OTC under the symbol WRPT. That's WRPT. WarpSpeedTaxi combines ride-hailing as well as food, grocery, and courier delivery all into one application. The service will be more affordable to both customers and businesses, all the while creating a much larger target market for drivers. WarpSpeedTaxi will maintain a high level of focus on customer service and deliver a better and friendlier approach based on its customer feedback. Loyalty programs and benefits will be offered to WarpSpeedTaxi customers to retain their trust and attract new users. WarpSpeedTaxi will continuously develop its technology and business model to stay competitive and meet the demands of the market. Businesses won't have to sacrifice fair margins to offer delivery services, and drivers will receive a larger overall cut by providing multiple types of services. The WarpSpeed model is unlike any other taxi or delivery model currently on the market. Their platform has been designed from the ground up to be exceptionally modular, allowing it to be cloned and customized to target local markets throughout the world. This allows WarpSpeedTaxi to set up joint ventures with third-party operators, individuals, or companies anywhere on the planet. Local venture partners will be asked to fund these joint ventures through an initial 6-month period. In return, they gain 50% ownership of a locally branded ride-hailing and delivery company. This model will allow WarpSpeed to launch rapidly and cost-effectively in multiple new markets around the world. WarpSpeedTaxi will retain 50% ownership of each local venture in each new country and will receive 2.5% of all gross revenues as an effective licensing fee for the use of the WarpSpeed platform. The company expects the app to be operational on multiple phone platforms within 120 days and launch in the United States. It has successfully completed beta testing in India. Now, India is host to a population of 1.3 billion people and a great market for this service. Again, it will first launch in the United States, then going forward to reach 90% of the global population with equity partners in all domains, also serving rural communities where there are no ride-hailing or delivery services as mentioned. Customer service after the sale, kind and helpful drivers, delivery people, partners with equity in the business. As a potential investment opportunity, consider WarpSpeedTaxi now, early on, while the possible multiples can exist. WarpSpeedTaxi, WRPT on the OTC. That's WRPT on the OTC. Go to the company's website, WarpSpeedTaxi.com. For WarpSpeedTaxi, this is South Florida's MoneyTalk Radio, and I'm Ellis Martin. WarpSpeedTaxi is a paid sponsor of MoneyTalk Radio.